Broke up with my girlfriend while she's on vacation with no money. We got into a fight because I said I don't have any money. Things been financially tight lately since I was paying all the bills and spending on her and her daughter, without any thanks or appreciation. She basically hinted that she will find someone else if I don't pay. Literally after 2 days. I returned and she's gone, traveled for a vacation with friends, and asked me to send her money because she got none. Like always, putting me in a situation like this. I already decided to leave her after what she said. I hated being used, but I intended to let her know and prepare. I just received the news that my friend has died, a 26-year-old, of a heart attack. I feel devastated, shocked, unbelieving. She knew what had happened and her response was, "How can you call yourself a man?" Just weeping. "I'm left like this without any money and threatened to leave and will not take me back. I just told her I won't take her and it's over," threw her stuff in the garage. I feel even worse now and I have no one to tell. Update. We just buried him. I felt my heart suffocating when I saw his pale face. I don't know how his mother was able to hold herself. His poor brother, my mother and sisters are staying with them. It was heartbreaking to see his father shaking, trying to hold himself. He couldn't, threw his head on his son's chest, and we heard the scream, his body shaking more. We held him. He couldn't stand by himself. He almost fainted. They took him away. My eyes are tearing up. I never thought he would break like this. I have read the comments. I didn't think there will be so many. Thank you all for your support and kind words. I feel better because of you. As for my ex, she didn't say anything since. Her daughter is with her father. I paid for her medical bills because her father didn't. I knew that if I paid he will throw the responsibility on me. I decided not to, but can you sleep knowing an 8-year girl will be in pain? She has a medical condition. I was angry on him, but it's often an emergency and I just paid. Sometime I bought clothes for her when there is an event like Christmas. He bailed out and she always broke. She works but doesn't get paid like me, and throw her money on stupid things. She will not be missed. Your feeling normally fade if your partner is like her, but I was afraid of going to search for someone else. I think deep down that I am, well, not a catch, ever since I got cheated on before. But it's not all bad. I got a better job. I start next week. I will also get my savings from my old company this weekend, which I guess the reason why she pulled the vacation thing, just miscalculated the time. And also, I got you guys. Thank you all for your comments and rewards. I hope you all find people who cares about you and be there for you as you were for me. Story 2. I broke off my engagement with my fiancée when she made fun of my ex-weight. Now both our families are livid. I 38 met my ex 37 5 years ago through mutual friends. Her best friend is married to a colleague of mine. We dated for 2 years. I never been as happy as when I was during that time. I come from a wealthy family, and my family never liked her because of her background. I have never had a great childhood. My mom passed away in cancer when I was 12 and my dad kept marrying much younger women who only wanted his money. I broke up with my ex when I was in her kitchen one day making us dinner while she was in the shower. She got a text from a guy. Sexy as John. I couldn't read the text. I never confronted her. Something just switched off in my head and all the love I had for her was gone. I saw her as all the women my dad married. Only in it for the money, and many of them cheated on him. I was around enough confrontations between my dad and his wives, and the way he came out of these confrontations. Gaslit and more devastated. I decided that she wasn't worth the hurt. We made love several times that night with it in mind that I will never see her again. I ghosted her afterwards. She kept texting and calling for at least 2 weeks. Asking if she did something wrong at first. Then if I was alright. She went to see my colleague to ask him if I was alright. I just didn't tell anyone we broke up and why. When she heard I was alright, she never texted me again. Probably she understood that I had ghosted her. I started seeing my fiancée at 34 a few weeks later. My fiancée also comes from a wealthy family, and she was more accepted in my family. Beautiful, tall and skinny. She is also a mutual friend with my ex and me, and she always hated my ex and the fact that I went out with my ex. When she heard that we had broken up, she was there for me and feelings developed. She is the only one I told her the reason why I broke it off with my ex. We got engaged about a year later. My fiancée has relatives in NY, and she asked me if I was interested in moving across the pond and live in NY for a year or 2 before we got married and started a family. That excited me. I love NY, but I never lived there. On the day before our move, my colleague and his wife renewed their vows and they invited me and my fiancée to the party. I was reluctant to go, but my fiancée insisted since it was our last day in the country. Besides, she wanted the world to know that we were engaged. I was thinking that I wanted to avoid my ex. She was there and she was already drunk. When she saw me, all she said was, "Hey, you broke my heart," and went upstairs. I didn't see her more that evening until the party. She was with her girlfriends and she looked just stunning. She looked happy too, so I could relax. She didn't spare me a glance. She was talking and flirting with a guy I haven't seen before, but I found out later that she met him that night. My fiancée and I decided to leave earlier, so I was trying to find the bride, aka ex's best friend, to say goodnight. I heard her and ex talking in the bride's bedroom about this guy ex was flirting with. Something about taking him home with her and her finally ready to cut her celibacy short. The bride asked her if I was really her last and she said yes. It has been over 1 year and 2 months since she had someone. They laughed and continued to talk about the guy. I just left in silent. What about John? Fiancé and I left, but I just couldn't stop thinking about what I heard, so around midnight I went back to my colleague's house. They were still up with some friends, but my ex and the guy were gone. I talked to the wife. I asked her if she knew who sexy-ass John. She laughed and said it was a guy who did a bunch of painting in her house. She said that he was very weird and always talked about his ass being sexy. So they gave him the name Sexy Ass. I asked her if he did work at my ex, because now I was remembering her talking about wanting to have some repainting in her bedroom. The wife said yes, and then she looked at me and asked, "Did you break up with my best friend because of this?" She didn't need to wait for an answer because she could see it. She started crying. I didn't remember leaving them or how I ended up at my ex's apartment. I called her, but she didn't answer, so I called to her apartment instead. She was shocked to hear my voice and told me that I should go. I insisted on seeing her. She came down and she was pissed. I asked her about John and she said it was the handyman who did some work on her apartment. I told her that I didn't know that until now, and that I thought that she was cheating on me. She just looked at me, like, "Why are you telling me this now?" I told her that I was sorry for what I did and that I wanted to talk to her more to ask for forgiveness. She started crying, talking about how I threw her and 2 years relationship like she was dirt on my shoes without even giving her the dignity of confronting her. If I really thought she cheated, shouldn't I at least try to yell at her, berate her, ask why? She said that she had nothing more to say. I begged her to meet me for breakfast the next day. She finally agreed after I told her I was leaving the country and I wanted to see her before. The next morning I woke up to a text from her telling me that she couldn't meet up for breakfast but that everything was forgiven. She congratulated me on the engagement, and wished me a safe journey. I asked my fiancé about John and she said she has heard about the weird handyman, yes, but she didn't make the connection to the story I told her about my ex cheating. Fiancé never liked ex and she always made fun of her style, weight, hair, etc. She made fun of her and her dress at the marriage renewal party, saying that she was desperate for attention, having a low cut. Whenever I mentioned ex, my fiancé got upset, and we fought. I never mentioned her in person, just if it was about an event or an incident that happened around the time I was dating her. It was enough to set my fiancé off, however. Ex always disliked my fiancé too, calling her arrogant and a bully. We are back now from NY after 2 years, planning our wedding, in May. We have been here a month and my colleague invited us for his son's birthday party. This was 2 weeks ago. When we arrived they were all hanging in the kitchen. Ex was sitting around the kitchen bar with a few girls. She was wearing a black tight dress. When my fiancé saw her she just laughed like a deranged hag and said, "Jesus, you've put on a lot of weight." Ex just smiled, got up and said, "I see that you are as pleasant as ever." Ex was pregnant, and far gone. My fiancé was pink in the face when she saw the belly and she just started saying hi to the rest on the guests and ignored Ex. Ex kissed the hostess goodbye and said she better started walking home before it got too dark. I went after her to apologize and she said that it was okay. She was used to my fiancé's rudeness. I congratulated her and asked her about her baby. She is due in December. When she said I couldn't hold back my tears. I remembered us lying in bed talking about our future for hours, me telling her I wanted a daughter with her curls and she saying, "The poor girl. You don't want her waking up at 5 when she is in high school just to straighten her hair." It felt like it happened yesterday, but a million years ago. I broke my engagement off with my fiancé that night. She started screaming and calling my ex names. I told her it had nothing to do with ex but her and her rude, classless ways. She didn't believe me. I have moved into a hotel now because I don't want her popping up trying to get me to change my mind. I have also blocked everyone because everyone is so angry with me. My family, her family, our friends. I just want to be left alone. Redditor's reactions, story 3 after. Redditor 1, you know you're pretty messed up, right? You don't know how to communicate, you have these ideas and jump to conclusions about your partners without seeming to give them the benefit of the doubt. While there may be some truth on your ex-fiancé's character, she was a repeat of your ex-GF, judged and discarded by you without too much thought. Maybe focus on improving yourself before stringing another person along and hurting your next so. Just a thought. Redditor follow-up, agreed. It's a shame really. Growing up with all that pomp, but not gaining a single drop of polish. Tisk, tisk. Redditor 2, wow. I want to sympathize with you, but I just can't. You walked away and ghosted a woman you say you loved, because of a name saved in her phone. Wow. I know the idea of being cheated on is painful. But, dude. If you couldn't even give her the benefit of pleading her own case. Which turns out she was actually innocent. I question how much you even wanted to be with her in the first place. When people walk away like you did, without even a word, it often means they were looking for an excuse to leave. It's say your ex dodged a bullet here. You were so quick to throw away the entire relationship on just a hunch. Ready to follow up, I was going to say, one of my friends put their contact in my phone as the sexiest MF ever and I laugh every time I see it pop up. Can't imagine someone seeing it and not questioning me on it. Redditor 3, did you really just assume that she cheated based on a name in her phone? You didn't even read the text or ask for explication and just made assumptions on your own. I believe that no woman cheating would name her cheating partner Sexiest John in her phone. That's just so dumb. To ghost the woman you love when you could have just asked who John was. Make me wonder how much you actually loved and trusted her. She's clearly better off without you and you've got some issues to deal with on your own. Redditor follow up, to add on to that, why on earth would a cheating person make the name in their phone so blatant? Don't most people put Mom or Pizza Hut? Story 3, I caught my boyfriend cheating on me with my best friend and I'm beyond humiliated. Hi everyone, the past few days have been some of the worst of my life, and I'm not sure exactly what to think or do. This is my first time posting on here, so please bear with me. Every time I think back to the moment I caught him with my best friend, who I've known since we were children, I have to physically fight off the urge to vomit. Sometimes, the pressure on my chest gets to be too much that it hurts to breathe. I haven't eaten. I've barely slept. I've had to use a few personal days these past few days as I cannot even fathom the idea of getting out of my bed, let alone heading into work. I 24F had no reason to believe that my boyfriend 26M would ever do this to me. Betray me, humiliate me like this. I met my boyfriend when I was an undergrad, my freshman year. He was 2 years into his engineering degree. We met at a party that his fraternity was hosting. We've been pretty inseparable since he first asked me out. He is my best friend, my person. We have the kind of intimacy that you don't get with very many people in a lifetime, and I've constantly had to pinch myself throughout my relationship every time I look at his handsome face. He's the kind of man that would ask me to slow dance in our kitchen to my fave John Mayer song. I would often joke with him whenever he would come home. Yes, we share an apartment together from the gym or work a little later than anticipated, and ask if he'd been out ducking another girl. I would ask how the time was, and if she was better than me. But these conversations were always in good fun, never serious. We would always end up laughing it off, cause the idea of him ever straying is so far from the actual truth. He's constantly reassuring me that I have nothing to worry about. That he loves me so deeply, he chooses me every day, and that he would get it tattooed on his skin if it meant that much to me. Obviously, I told him he would do no such thing. He really is everything I could ever want in a partner. He was my everything. Which makes what happened all the more nauseating. This past Saturday, I was called into work. I am a nurse, but I'm just starting out at this place, so it is very typical for someone in my position to start on call. A mutual friend of my boyfriend and I was throwing birthday party out on his lake house, and asked my boyfriend and I to come. My best friend 24F, who I suppose is now my ex-best friend, was also going to be there. She and I went to the same college, but were in different majors. She has been in relationships, but is what I call a serial dater, a new guy every few months or so. I never had any reason to suspect anything was happening between her and my boyfriend, as they were always cordial and got along just fine. We would eat takeout together at our dining room table whenever she'd visit, and their conversation was always very surface level. The kind of relationship you would expect between an older brother and younger sister. And if she'd stay the night, she and I would sleep together in my bed and my boyfriend would take the couch in the living room at his insistence. Her and I graduated high school and college together, and while I haven't had as much of a chance to hang with her as of recently, she is currently in school for her master's due to our busy schedules. I never in a million years could have predicted she would do this to me. So last Saturday, I told my boyfriend that I would try to make it to our friend's party, but he should go have fun. At first he relented, saying he was fine staying in, but finally gave in and agreed to go for a couple of hours. I ended up getting to leave my shift a little bit early, just past 11 p.m. I had been texting snapping him throughout the night, and he stopped replying a little after 10. Again, I had no reason to be suspicious or concerned at all, as I trusted this man completely and fully. I didn't actually arrive until a little after midnight at the lake house, and to my surprise found a lot of people were there. I wasn't able to get a hold of my boyfriend, or my best friend, which I figured was fine, and chalked it up to her having let her phone die. After asking around, including the birthday boy, I was told to try one of the many upstairs bedrooms. He wasn't in any of the rooms, but as I approached the ensuite of the master, I heard moaning and what clearly sounded like two people ducking. I will never forget the way time stood still as I opened that door, finding my boyfriend of 6 years buried deep inside my best friend. I couldn't find it in me to actually say anything in that moment. I think I was in shock or something. Only after he noticed me standing there, did I snap out of my momentary daze and ran out of there. Both he and my best friend were completely naked, scrambling to get their clothes back on, he claiming it was a mistake and that he was so sorry. I could smell the whiskey on his breath, so he was clearly drunk. I think they were both crying. I couldn't care less, I couldn't even really see past a few feet in front of me. I struggled to breathe, especially with the already crowded atmosphere of the house. He tried grabbing onto my arm to get me to listen to him, but only after shouting at him to not touch me, did he let me go. When I made it home, I immediately looked up last-minute services to get my locks changed, which were done at some point the next afternoon. Both he and my best friend have been blowing up my phone with texts, calls, requests to FaceTime. I couldn't bring myself to look at any of the messages, I've just been so numb to the world. My entire friend group has been texting me too. They can all get ducked for all I care. He hasn't tried to come home in the past few days. He probably suspects that I need space after I so blatantly caught him balls deep in someone else. My best friend. I think he might be staying with her, but I'm not sure. I'm devastated. This feeling that I'm going through, I would never wish on anyone. He is the second half of my heart. I thought that I was going to marry this man. I saw everything with him, he was my future. And she was my closest friend. I'm sorry for the novel-length post, but clearly I needed to get some of this out. I'm not sure what to do next. I refuse to answer any of his or her texts. A part of me has entertained the idea of just icing them out, complete cut off with communication. Get a few my friends to move his exit out onto the curb. We collectively own this apartment, so eventually we may need to figure out what happens with it. I'm just so lost. If anyone has gone through something similar like this, any words of encouragement would be so deeply appreciated. I can't seem to get any of that from my life right now. I'm so ducking tired of crying, and yet every time I entertain images of that night, my traitorous eyes start up again. Redditor's reactions. Redditor 1, I'm so sorry. He is not your other half and she is not your best friend. The people you loved do not exist. You loved the people they pretended to be. I know it feels impossible right now, but one day you will be grateful that you walked in that room. He would have likely married you with your best friend standing at your side, all the while comfortably screwing him behind your back. You are now free to move on to better people and experiences. The time you've known them is irrelevant. You can know someone for 2 days and they will add more to your life than people you've known forever. Wipe the slate clean. Let go of the future you envisioned with your ex. It never existed because he was never the man he pretended to be. Take a trip to get away for a while if you can, or even a weekend. Don't lay in bed all day. Go to the gym, the park, or just take a walk. Avoid alcohol. Decide if you will buy his half of the house, sell your half to him, or sell the house and split the proceeds. Do not feel ashamed to see a therapist. You've been betrayed in the worst way by 2 of the closest people to you. It's okay to seek help. Use the grey rock method if you have to deal with either of the losers. Google it. Do not engage in the whys and wheres. The answers will not change where you're at now. Closure is moving on and living a good life. A final heart-to-heart is not necessary. Someone that deserves you is waiting to meet you. When you find them and realize what you were missing, this guy won't even compare. I wish you the best, heart. Ready to follow up. Of all the replies, this has the best real-life response. I hope this is what Op will do after mourning the loss of who those trash people represent. Redditor 2, don't talk to them. There is no explanation for what they did and I'm pretty sure they are ducking longer than you know. Don't text them back. Don't let him manipulate you. He is only sorry because he got caught. You will break up with him and he will start dating your best friend. So do not take him back no matter what he will say. Give him his stuff and then try to move on. You are only 24, don't let a man destroy your life. You will be happy again. I'm really sorry this happened to you. But now the trash is out and you know how disgusting both of them are. Ready to follow up. He'll start dating her, and she'll get bored with him, and move on to the next guy. He'll have nothing. It's then he'll realize how much he effed up a good thing with Op. She dodged a bullet. Redditor 3, since you co-own the apartment, do you want to stay there or move out? Look at the finances of the situation, contact a lawyer to consult and for them to be the hook to sell to or buy out the ex. Otherwise you will have to personally deal with him until it is sold. Find a new friend group that doesn't include any of the individuals that were present and could not be bothered to loop you into the SE to those 2 were doing. If need be, look for a new job with more dollar in a new location to help with a fresh start. Focus on yourself and your mental and physical health. Finally, block both of them and never look back despite how much it hurts. They don't love and respect you.